Got a request today to replace this metal valve that's been leaking, so we're taking the opportunity to install one of these very well-known Philmac blue handle ball valves. Loosen it off, but it's remove the valve. When you've done that, one of the key things about reinstalling a valve or anything to do with threaded fittings, really important here, is that we make sure that thread is clean. Quite often it'll have some old thread tape on there. It's not so much that the thread tape goes off, but it will have a habit of bunching up when you remove the valve. So we really need to make sure that's a nice, clean, even surface, and I've already pre-cleaned that for the purpose of this video. And as you've seen before, it's just a question of actually reinstalling tape. Once again, it's the old story, is we're going a clockwise direction and make sure we maintain the pressure. You can see that I've got complete control over that. As I've mentioned before in some other videos, probably worthwhile pre-fitting some of these fittings just to understand how much thread tape we need, but quite often it's around that six turns mark. Can be more depending on the fittings. Take our valve here, and it's just a question of, again, being very careful when you first do it by hand, just to make sure there's no cross-threading. And again, that feels quite nice. You can feel there, it's actually starting to bind up, so we're getting a nice seal on that valve there. Once I've got it to that point there, it's a question of then grabbing myself some multi-grips or equivalent. This pair here is probably a slightly better pair to use, and getting those onto the valve and continuing to tighten it up till it's fully tightened. Just make sure we're not too much arms and legs here, but we'll get it right. And ideally end up with a valve, if best we can, in a vertical position, something like that. So there we are. Done up tightly, nice and easy to access, no problems there at all, terrific. Here's an example where we've already fitted a ball valve to a system, and we had a rural fitting in there before in a different valve. Yeah, no reason. We, again, just check the inside of the rural just to make sure there's no damage, can't see any damage there. Clearly there's no damage to my pipe or the fitting, so there's no reason we can't reuse this fitting. In fact, that's what we're going to do. Already applied my thread tape, so it's a question of simply putting this fitting in. You notice here what I've actually got looks like the user previously chose not to use a male end connector, probably didn't have one available, no problem. They've used a female plus a nipple. There's no reason you can't do that. A male end connector is probably the ideal way of going, but nothing to say you can't reuse a fitting, so that's fine. Just making sure I hold the ball valve so that doesn't move. I've got a nice grip on that, and we can just tighten it up. You can feel I can feel that's tightening up nicely. Got plenty of thread tape on there. And just make sure I get a nice firm fit. There we are, job's done, so that's terrific. Again, need to give myself a bit of wriggle room here to actually get the fitting back in. One of the things to do here is you can see that the O-ring is in good condition, but it is a little bit dry. Again, it's just a question of giving that a bit of a lick. Some people don't like doing that. Use some water out of a jug or something, but just to make sure that's lubricated, so when it's sliding back into this fitting here, it doesn't cause any problems. It's just a question of bending it like that. There we go. In it goes. Grab my nut, bring the nut up here, just tighten it like that. And then it's just a question of just nipping that up, and it doesn't take too much. You can use a special tool if you like, or just in my case, just a set of multi-grips. There we go, just nipped up, job's done. That should be good for years to come. Turn that back on, system is ready to go.